We have two feasts of the Holy Cross. One in September, the Exaltation of the Cross, and then the Exaltation of the Cross, which we're going to celebrate today. And all of the Holy Fathers have written about the cross, but two in specific, one, St. John Damascus, and then the other one who we celebrated last Sunday, which was St. Gregory of Palamas. And words of St. John Damascus, so that you don't think that I'm inventing it on my own here. The word of the cross, to them indeed that perish is foolishness, meaning that those who don't understand what the cross means, those then it is foolishness to them and they perish. But to them that are saved, it is the power of God. For every action of Christ and all of his workings and miracles were truly great and divine and wonderful. But of all things, the most wonderful is his honorable and precious cross. Now, he makes an interesting connection here. His victory over death, that is obviously Jesus Christ, is manifest to us. Because just as the four arms of the cross are made solid and bound together by their central part, so then we are bound together and held together by then the power of God. And in his homily on the life-giving and precious cross, St. Gregory of Palamas says, the cross of Christ was mysteriously, and we would say mystically, proclaimed in advance and foreshadowed from generations of old, and no one has ever reconciled with God except through the power of the cross. So we as Orthodox then feel that the cross is essential to our salvation. Now, we have to be very careful because in the communion prayer, it says after we receive communion, what we are supposed to say is, having beheld the resurrection of Christ, let us worship the Holy Lord Jesus and let us venerate the cross. So both St. John Damascus and St. Gregory say, we do not worship the wood of the cross. We worship what it symbolizes, Jesus Christ's victory over death. So when the Orthodox Church says that we are saved through the power of the cross, it is not in the wood of the cross, but it is now in the symbol of Jesus Christ. And St. Gregory of Damascus goes on to say that twice, when now Christ is referred to after his crucifixion, his death, and his resurrection, what does the angel say to the woman who was looking for Jesus? She says, you seek Jesus who is crucified. She doesn't say you seek Jesus of Nazareth. She doesn't say Jesus who you pierced with a side. She says Jesus who was crucified. And then what does St. Paul preach? And probably the greatest Protestant statement that has ever been made by Karl Barth, preach Christ crucified. This was the central tenet of the Protestant church. And that comes from the Holy Fathers, who talk about, when we talk about Jesus Christ after his death and resurrection, we speak of a Christ crucified so that we can remember what the power of the cross is. And what we have manifested a beautiful synergy between the Orthodox Church and the Catholic Church is when we look at the crosses that are used at baptism. For the most part, when you see now a cross for a Catholic, it will be with Jesus Christ on the cross. When you see now an Orthodox Christian with a cross, it will be the empty cross. This is a beautiful synergy because as much as the cross is our hope and our salvation, and none can come to God except through the cross, that's the empty cross. That's the hope, the beauty, the resurrection, that we do not grieve as those who have no hope. So all of this memorial that we have today is not done in vain. It is done because we understand and know that through the power of the cross, we will see our loved ones again. This is the power of the empty cross. But equally so, this is not the complete picture, because we who are the church militant, we who fight on a daily basis, we are the ones in following Jesus Christ will be crucified. Meaning that we will suffer in this world. We will lose those who we love. Sometimes we will lose them very, very young, as we have in this parish. Sometimes we will lose them older, like my father. But we will all suffer in this life. So Christianity is not just about the empty cross, nor is Christianity about now us suffering. Those are incomplete statements. But the churches together, when they put these together, this is the fullness of the faith, that we will be crucified in this life, but the hope is the resurrected Christ who has lifted himself up off the cross and has turned an instrument of torture into a saving grace through which we will be saved, is now that which we celebrate today. And that is what the church must do, is, as Karl Barth said, preach Christ crucified.